Bishop Daniel Flores, thank you so much for taking the time.
Good to be here. Thank you.
You were a delegate at the now concluded Synod on Synodality in Rome. What was your message to your brother U.S. bishops here? What was the main takeaway for you that you wanted to share?
My main focus was helping them to understand kind of where we are right now in terms of what the general session as it concluded, kind of what the Holy Father's message was to us. It's a conference, but to the whole world in terms of the next steps. And so I tried to kind of outline some of that, some of the work we can continue to do in our dioceses, but then mostly to kind of look at the document that the Holy Father received and now sent out to the world, and see and just study it, pray it with our communities, consultatively with just our own people in our own dioceses. That's the first thing, is we really have to kind of take it to heart.
What does synodality look like playing out practically at the local level? What should Catholics in the pews across the U.S. expect?
Well, with time, because it is kind of a patient sort of unfolding of a kind of a shift in the way we sort of make decisions, and maybe one element of it that would be more collaborative, more participative, to kind of, at the local level, just to kind of like in our parish councils, hearing from as many people as we can, to help sort of the decision-making process for the sake of the mission. Because I think what really was very strong from the Holy Father's message to us is that the work of our communion, which is our how we work together, collaborate, how we share responsibility for the mission of the Church, really has to be for the sake of the mission. That is the credibility of our announcing of the gospel, the charitable the work that we do, the justice work that we do, the work with our young people, all has to aim towards announcing Christ and the evangelization. But we have to improve the way we sort of work with each other. It's not just these people do that, these people do that, they never talk to each other. It's a communion. That's what we are. One could say metaphysically, because that's what baptism does to us. It makes us a people, but we have to live that way more practically on the local level. So I would look for ways. Expect that in time, parishes, as they kind of think of it, will look for ways to kind of invite people to be more expressive as to kind of how they would like to participate in the mission. But it's a local thing in a lot of cases.
Following the conclusion of the Synod and the Pope's approval of the final document, do you foresee any future changes when it comes to church canon law, in particular when it comes to either, say, the structure or authority of episcopal conferences such as the USCCB?
That's a good question. I think that question will be looked at. If it is, it will be. I suspect it'll be just slight shifts, because one of the things that the synodal consultation sort of brought to light is that Episcopal conferences in the history of the world are a fairly recent thing. That is, since the Second Vatican Council. The ancient and still active sort of structure of the Church is the diocese in a metropolitan, and then you have a region, then you have a country. But the metropolitan province sort of thing is sort of the basic structure of the communion. So what needs to be thought about is, how does the Episcopal Conference, which is sort of as a national entity, which is sort of developed after the Second Vatican, how does that fit as an expression of communion? Because the communion of the local churches, dioceses, provinces, and conferences is the communion which is guaranteed by the successor Peter. And so it's, how does that work? I think there may be some shifts but I would not look for a huge, oh my goodness, today they've done this and now it's all different. No, it's sort of, part of it will be recognition, part of it will be, but it's not the same, and so there are limits. We'll have to see, because that's going to have to be a worldwide consultation, because it's not just what the U.S. thinks. That's one of the things about synodality while I was there, is you heard from bishops and lay people all over the world, and not everything is the same as it is here, which is a big thing.
The bishops are meeting 1 week after the election of President Donald Trump. He has said he will deport millions of undocumented immigrants. As the bishop of a diocese on the border in the Diocese of Brownsville, Texas, what is your reaction to that? What is your response?
The first thing is, I pray for the current president, and I pray for the president-elect. I think we have to pray for our elected leaders, and not just presidents, but Congress. I know that the president-elect said those sorts of things. I think what we have to do in my diocese is just to kind of pay attention to kind of, once the administration begins, what what form would it take to kind of move in that direction, and be prepared. One would rightly assume that whatever decisions are made, they would be according to the dictates of law that is in effect, until the laws are changed. And so that would be something that we would look at. In what manner would this be done? What's the way it would be done? And also, as a church, and certainly in my diocese, but I think the bishops of the United States would, we always look to defend the reality of the human beings that are affected, and to defend the dignity of the human person and human families. And that's just a reality that the church has to speak about, and will certainly do. But it's too early to tell what it would look like. But if the other party had won, we would be having this conversation, but about different issues. But that's because the Catholic social teaching, and that is about public order, it doesn't have a perfect fit in either of the larger political parties of this country. So we have to be prepared for whichever one, and we'll have to deal with that, but always in response to kind of what's actually happening, and not what people predict this is the way it's going to happen. I think we have to hope that the people who continue to govern us will share a basic understanding the church has about the dignity of the human person, and then move from there.
Catholic voters overall broke for Trump. Actually, 54% supported him this election. He also made significant gains with Hispanic voters. Did any of this surprise you?
No, it didn't particularly surprise me. No, and I mean, and I'm not one to judge how people make their decisions. I mean, I'm a bishop. I teach what the church teaches from the pulpit and elsewhere. But I certainly really do trust that people struggle hard to make decisions to vote, and I'm not going to judge one way or the other why people make the decisions. But because that's part of the electoral process, but it's also part of the mission of the church, is to form the conscience, as the Pope says, and not replace it. So, was I surprised? No, but then not surprised, because we're living at a time when not a lot surprises me in terms of like the way we pivot on different things. I would just urge both parties to listen more to the people, heart to heart, and which I think is something that the church is encouraging all around. And I'm talking about local level politics. You really have to know the community, and that's something that if you do, and there's a human face to it, then the governing decisions are more humane in whichever way you go.
Bishop Flores, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you. God bless you.